interface from Zoom to YouTube that will allow us to remain in Zoom, but at the same time as we're recording in Zoom, how nice is it that we are also live streaming to YouTube. So we can have a number of people, those that have credentials to my class can enter, and those that we want to be outside of our network can also view. And we could possibly even allow other students to moderate that chat. So when people are asking questions outside of Zoom, they could give me feedback as well or answer questions. Okay, any questions that we need to fold? So let's go over what's due. Make sure. Preston, do you remember when the date of the exam is?
Is it March 4th?
March 4th. Is it online or in person?
In person.
In person, right? So everybody needs to know we're so used to getting online with this class. One of the things that we are going to do is be able to meet together. And as I said before, with technology, and I'm always emphasizing, let's use AI to our advantage to be able to use it. I am giving you permission to study with AI tools. The only difference is in doing the exam, it will be closed book, closed notes, closed AI. So it will be all based on your own knowledge. But next Monday, I'll be giving a review guide for the exam, and we'll spend some time doing a review. We can be using a number of tools to do that. The exam, so just know in advance, you'll be taking your exam on, we're going to be meeting in 204 in the School of Business in the PC lab. A great question somebody was asking me, should you bring your personal laptops? You should bring your personal laptops with Respondus software installed on it, the latest version, and we'll be using it for backup purposes. In case we have some problems, and we always have to anticipate problems with the computers in the lab, that will be our first stop. With the computers in the lab, we'll be doing it online, but in case there's issues, we'll ask the School of Business IT department to also be joining us in the beginning of the class to help us with any of the hardware issues, because guess what? Do I have control of the lab? No, they have control of the lab, so I need their help in order to make sure that it's up and running. But guess what? Are there always issues? So we have to attend to make it back up. So you will all be bringing in your personal laptops, but hopefully you'll be just doing it on the computer there. There'll be two parts to the exam. One part will be multiple choice, very similar to the quiz questions that you've taken before, you know, the quizzes and the adaptive assignments of the multiple choice. And in this case, there for homework, I allowed you to be time unlimited, and you could use all the sources. In the exam, it will be time sensitive. Those of you that have permission for accommodations, I will be with you in the lab, so you'll be taking it, and I will give you, based on your needs, the accommodations. I'd like all my students to be there as well in the lab with me in case you have questions. You know, there's always issues. I don't trust anyone else to respond to those issues. If you have a question about something's not clear on the exam, I'd like to know it. And since I have the authority there, I can give you a valuable information versus you're stranded in some office here. You can backtrack the questions. You can go up and down in the question, but there's two parts. I will give you a review sheet of the types of questions that you will get on the multiple choice, and then there'll be 2 or 3 open-ended questions. And the problem, Anna, is what? With 2 or 3 open-ended questions, there's so much information that we've covered, right? That it's almost impossible, I think, to contract. What could those questions be? So what I'll do is give you about 8 or 9 questions ahead of time, and I say I will choose among those. You understand that, Anna? So you can study all of those, and if you know all of those, when you start taking that exam, there will be nothing new there. There'll be no, oh God, she asked that question. I never even remember reading anything about it. So I'll give you 8 or 9 questions that you can study on your own. The only difference in backtracking, when you take the exam, you have to decide what you want to do first. I give you a choice because everybody takes exams differently. If you, Anna, want to do the open-ended first, because you say, hey, that's fresh in my mind, let me get all that information out, you can start the open-ended first. You can decide among those open-ended which question you want to do first, which question you want to do second and third. But you have to do that and submit those. And then you can go to the multiple choice. You can decide, I want to go upward, downward, I want to go back and forth. You decide that, you close. If you want to start multiple choice first, you have to finish the multiple choice. And you have to do your own timing on that. So in this case, we'll ask you to come 10 minutes before. So I like to start on time. You notice when we're doing our regular class here, everybody's kind of dripping in and out. That ain't going to occur in the exam. You want to get there, sit down, make sure you're logged in. You need to bring your student ID. You need to know your password because you're going to log in just like in Blackboard. They're going to ask you for your credentials. And since it's not your computer, a lot of times you don't have your password built into a machine that's not yours. So make sure that you know the proper password. You don't want to be in a situation where I don't have my credentials. You need to be authenticated. You need to be authorized to get that. Okay. So I think those are a good question. So Preston, is there anything else I need to address for the exam, or do you have any questions that I haven't answered?
Yeah, someone asked in the chat, can we backtrack the questions on the exam? Approximately how many questions are on the exam?
There'll be 2 to 3 open-ended, and there'll be around 60 multiple choice questions, and you can backtrack, but you have to be in one section. Do you understand that, Preston? You can't like, oh, I'll take a few questions from multiple choice, then I'll hop over to open-ended. You can think about it, it's like part A and part B. And by that end of the day, you'll know how well you did in the multiple choice. Open-ended, I'll grade the open-ended questions.
So will the exam take place at the same time as class? That same day?
Exactly.
Okay.
At what date, Preston?
March 4th.
Where in the School of Business, room 204. And we'll put that in the what's due section next week that everyone does. Right? Everyone's there, presented, and then you'll bring an ID and just like authorization, just like I always ask in this case, you need to show your face in this case for authentication. You need to bring your ID, pictured ID, and TAs will be moderating. I'll have Anastasia and Lily proctoring with me, so they'll be checking you in and out. So we'll get everything orderly. To have what, Preston? Integrity, right? To the exam, you are who you are. You take it and you're proud of your work. Okay? Anything else, Preston, that I need to address? I know everybody's concerned a lot of times about the exams and about your grades. Did I answer everything, Preston, that needs to be?
Yeah, I think so. No more
Okay,
questions in
perfect.
the chat.
And then just at appropriate times, Preston and Sally, just interrupt, or you want some clarification, just interrupt me. That'll be fine there. Anything else? So we know we have this. Okay, so what do I always like to do? We've made a little bit of adjustments here. We gave you last Wednesday, a week ago, to do your to do your group assignments. So let me just share with you my screen. So we can see what we need to do. So Sally, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, what do you see? So I see even
The
when you see
YouTube
my
channel.
screen. Okay, the YouTube channel, it's perfect. And you can tell that it has what latency with it. For our purposes, it doesn't matter, right? Because with our talking, it's not that time sensitive, Sally, but if we were doing high frequency trading where every 5 seconds it would count, this would not be appropriate. But for our way of what we're doing, it's good enough. Okay, so we know that that works. And in terms here, I want to be able to look at always my what's due section, right? Everybody know that. In this case, Andrea Patricia, you know that in the my what's due, that's if I'm ever confused, this is where I'd want to go. Today is Wednesday, February 18th. I want to rest assured that you know that, let me just change this so I know that my edit mode. So I'm seeing everything that is off. So I see everything that you see. So in this case, you see Friday, make sure that you put it in your calendars or wherever that you need to sign up for February 20th at 12 p.m. for the Wix webinar. Some of you have classes at that time, but what I'd like to do is, since we're going to do our new project after the exam, we've done a partnership with Wix and they're allowing us to get a code, each person, to get there to register for their business membership program. And what I like about that is we get then their premium version and we also get a free domain name for our project. So that's important. So if you look at the Wix webinar series, this is what you need to join. And I suggest you can even, some of you had, you had the end of the classes at 12:05 or something. I suggest get online even with your phone. I'm more particular on my side. I want more class participation. I want you to show your face, but I think in this, they're not going to be so rigorous. And I really don't think they're just going to call on people. They're not like me, right? So cruel and unusual punishment. So this is going to be online on the 20th. It won't be more than an hour. And basically, my purpose is for us to get the code, but also learn about Wix. I'd also like you, in this case, Preston, to look at how they're doing a webinar. Maybe we can get ideas from them. This is a company that wants to make a profit, right? They are even publicly traded. So it's interesting to see if we can get some tips and tricks on how they do a webinar, basically even critiquing how, in essence, are they doing a webinar? Do they engage the folks? So basically, this is the key. When and how will I receive the premium code for free Wix upgrade? I don't want to sound, Preston, too greedy, but this is really my intention. My intention is let's all get this free code because it's valuable. So if you attend the full session, and this is the key, you have to register with your student email. You need your miami.edu address. You remember, many times it depends. I'll say, don't use your miami.edu address. Use your personal Gmail account. In this case, use your .edu address so you'll receive a 1-year free Wix premium code, which is fabulous, Preston, because guess what? You can use it beyond the semester. So even if beyond the semester, you can use it and you get a 1-year domain via the email by the end of the week. I don't know what they mean by via the end of the week. I don't know if they mean by this Friday or we have to wait a week, but we'll see. And I'm going to be in the seminar as well to get this so I can do this. You could, if you wanted to, if you're like in another class and they allow you to, you could even shut down the volume and with a screen recorder, take a recording of it, or they may have it as they may post the recording. So be sure to check your inbox and spam folder just in case. Okay, so this is essential for everyone to do it. It's not a big deal for us. We can do this quickly. And if you cannot make it because of a class conflict, make sure you give the documentation to Anastasia that she is aware of it. Okay, so we know that is our possibility. So let's go back to the what's due. So I know that this is, put this in your notes, Friday at noon. I put it in my calendar that I can attend to because it's easy to forget. So our next assignment is this Monday. People were thinking it was this Wednesday, but it's this Monday that I want you to look at AI-powered research assistant assignment. This assignment is based on individual. Everyone needs to do this on their own, but the coordination of this is each person needs to choose a chapter other than chapter 1. What I'm doing in this case, Anna, is that I figure if we're gonna put in any type of readings, let's prepare for the exam as well. Why not use this as a bird with two, one stone with two birds, or a one bird with two stones, or whatever that is that we're able to use it as well. And that each person in your group chooses a different chapter, so you've covered everything for the exam. So that's going to be important. And then also you have additional reading that could possibly be in the additional readings for one of the open-ended ways. And if you see this, the additional reading is called Cybersecurity in Higher Education. What are the risks? Always in security, there are going to be risks. And what are the best practices to minimize that risk? It's just like everybody has a risk, right? In this case, Andrea, do you have a car by chance?
No, I don't.
Okay, and if you did have a car, would you want to lock the car? If you
Yeah,
left, probably, right? Because what, you want to do some type of control protection, but somebody could steal your car, whether you locked it or not, right? It's a possibility. Somebody could break into your car. And in that case, you want to do it. If you're in an apartment and in the dorm rooms, a lot of people don't lock their doors, but it's a good idea. Don't they tell you you should lock your door for security purposes? Here we're talking about information security, data, rather than, in this case, physical. So in this case, if I basically go in this, you see here that I would like you to, this is a good idea, is copy this link, right? If I copied that link, I could put it in a notepad and put this in the link here. And this article talks about cybersecurity in education. It talks about the risk. And of course, what you want to do in campuses that we're familiar with, universities, is how can there be strategies to keep the data secure? And in our instance, it's even more important because not only do we have like the student data, but we also have patient data, right? Some of you have gone to Lennar and other places where we have patient data. So in this case here, this is an article about what is cybersecurity in higher education, where the risks, right, that our data is going to be vulnerable. They talk about what kind of attacks. Something's called ransomware, just like, anybody hear about that? What is it? The Today Show They supposedly kidnapped the Today Show host and took her mother. Who knows? Unfortunately, who knows? And they say, oh, are they asking for ransom? Do they want payment? It's not clear, but it's the same thing that what are hackers doing? They go to a university and let's say the hospital, and we have all the lists of our patients. And what happens is that they take over the server and say, guess what? You can't get to your patient list, the patient schedule, unless you give us money. And in this case, what do they want? Do you think, Preston, they want dollars under a tree? The hacker usually? What do you think?
They want money.
Do you think they want money? And what type of currency do they want? Usually.
Yeah, US.
US. What do you think, Sally? If they were going to take over
Crypto.
crypto, and usually they want Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So nobody tells you this, but one of the things that we do in universities and other company is just like they have insurance for your car, insurance for your house. Guess what? They have insurance for cyber attacks and for ransomware. And guess what? All these hospitals have in reserve, Sully, is Bitcoin. They don't advertise it, but they say many times, you think about it, is the hospital, Sully, if they have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of surgery tomorrow and say, hey, listen, I can't take your grandfather, I can't take all these people with emergency surgery because we can't get to our systems, they'd rather even pay up. They basically don't even tell us, right? They don't tell me I'm in the advisory committee for the computer advisory committee. They don't share it even with me because why? They don't like to advertise it, right? It doesn't make them look any better, right? Sometimes I know it because on the dark web, they basically, you can find a lot of university data on that dark web. So that's called ransomware attacks. They talk about phishing and social engineering. They talk about data breaches, distributed denial of service attacks, IoT, which is Internet of Things, and bring your own devices risks. And how do you basically, what are the best practices to try to secure that higher education? So what they do is basically we got to assess what are the risks and then how much is it worth to us? As I always say, my PowerPoints aren't worth much. Let them take it, right? But your grades are more sensitive, right? I don't want them to take your grades, right? Your financial data, your credit card information, that they need to keep secure. So, and also they have to give, which I think they can do a better job in a number of universities, is they have to give ongoing training, not only to students, to faculty, to staff, to vendors on how to be safe. And here are some reasons how to be safe, to protect it. Key cyber work standards. These are standards I'll go into, frameworks that people have to abide by. In this case, this is called FERPA. That's important. Family educational rights for universities. But some are for banking. And what's the trend? All of this written. Now, what I told you before is if I just say notebook LM, this is software that became very popular for Google. It was like on a whim in their lab, and they didn't realize how quickly this became popular, that you can try your Notebook LM. What I told you before is when you're trying your Notebook LM, you should use your personal Gmail account. And you can upload your sources, and notice you can upload PDFs, websites, YouTube videos, audio files, Google Docs. Notice there's no PowerPoint, there's no Word, there's no Excel. So basically, they're trying to promote their own software. You get instant insights where you get a study guide, a briefing doc, frequently asked questions, a timeline. You can use your sources as answers. You can create an audio overview, a podcast, and how people are using it. So if I go back here and say, try Notebook LM, you will get, this is already mine, and I've created a number of notebooks, which is fantastic. And notice on information security, here I have one source, which is my PDF. Here I put in 3 sources. And if I look at Notebook LM, you'll see it's in 3 formats. One is my sources, and all I have to do is add the sources. And you remember how I said, copy that link of your reading, copy the link of the reading, let it give you an overview. And it's really nice. And then you can do one, and if I give 3 of them, I can select one source at a time or all of them. And then you'll see here, you get an audio overview, a video overview, you can get slide decks, you can get an infographic, which is incredible. You can get quizzes, you can get flashcards. So in that case, if I created the flashcards, I can do that. I can do a mind map. When you're going to be doing your homework assignment, some things take longer to produce. For instance, audio overviews, sometimes video overviews, the slide decks take a few minutes to do. So what I would recommend you do is maybe even do these in advance. And then when you do tutorial, you can just point to it and then go to your different study guides. So at that point, you can even at this point say, hey, I want to see how that digital infographic works. I could do this. At this point, look at this. Why better technology means more. This is your audio overview, but do you see here that interactive mode? I'd like to put it in the interactive mode. I like to put it full screen. I like to see that interactive mode. And whenever you play it, I want to see how you can join in. And it's amazing. You just put in it creates 2 hosts, why better technology means, and listen.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're not just talking about technology. We're talking about the invisible battleground that really defines modern life. It really does. It's the reason your bank requires, 2 different codes to log in, and why one single click can shut down a national pipeline. We are unpacking information security.
It really is the underlying story of the 21st century. We tend to think of security as this static thing, like a lock on a door.
Right.
But in the digital world, the door is constantly moving, the lock is changing shape, and the person trying to pick it, well, it might be a teenager in a basement or a state-sponsored group on the other side of the planet.
And that's the terrifying part, isn't it? It's just so dynamic. We're basing today's discussion on Chapter 4 of Introduction to...
Whoa, did someone just break the 4th wall? Let's hear it.
Yes, I'm joining in. I'm the professor here, and I wanted you to give university examples. Can you give a couple of university examples on how universities need to treat security? And I don't know, I needed to have my mic. Do you hear it? So let me try to join again. Hi.
Go for it.
Yes, I wanted you to give university examples for your security.
That is a fantastic point.
We absolutely should.
Because higher education is a unique target that actually perfectly illustrates all 5 of those factors you just mentioned.
Right. Think about it.
A university is an open environment.
Exactly. It's not a closed corporate network.
You've got guest Wi-Fi, public labs, huge research subnets, and thousands of people connecting from different personal devices.
That is the very definition of the large attack surface. More entry points equal more risk.
And when we talk about sensitive data, universities hold massive amounts of it.
Student records, financial aid data, and highly valuable intellectual property in the research labs.
That makes them hey, yeah, what's up?
And can you talk about the controls? What can universities do to control these vulnerabilities?
That is the perfect pivot.
We were just about to discuss the research lab.
And what's interesting is that the controls are both technical and...
Since you brought it up, let's dig into what universities can and should be doing right now.
Because they face these threats, the ransomware, the phishing with often limited budget.
The source material outlines a layered and proactive strategy for higher education.
It's a combination of technology, governance, and user awareness.
Exactly. One of the simplest and most effective controls is building a cyber-aware culture.
We mentioned the diverse user base, students, faculty, staff.
Right. They need ongoing training to spot.
So you got it? It's amazing. Have you ever used, Sally, have you ever used Notebook LM?
No, I haven't personally.
Yeah, so you can see it's incredible that you can create, you can join in, ask questions, and then it becomes like a conversation. Give me examples. Because in your open-ended questions, I'll ask you to give specific examples. You want to show that, how does this apply to a university? Any of these controls that I have. So I have that. So you can do this audio review that when I look at it, this is incredible that at this point, I'd like you to show in the interactive mode. Once it produces a podcast, you intervene and ask questions that you think are important. Then when you think about it, I can, at this point, in securing the open campus, think about this. Just move this a bit. This is the article that I put in, and I asked it to give me a slideshow on it. Some of you can understand via slideshow some of the ones, and look at this. The open campus paradox, securing academic freedom in a hostile digital landscape. They took that article, and it's amazing in this case. Here you think higher education holds the digital crown jewels. So they have what? They have data. You remember we talked about data in a database? We talked here, they say social security numbers, we have C numbers, we have financial aid. HIPAA stands for Health Information Privacy Act. That's my health data, alumni donors, my financial operations, my research. So you can see how they set this up for the article that what do I want? I have an attack service, right? I have a diverse user base where I have students, faculty, visitors. This is my campus. I have my shadow IT. I have my hybrid environments. Notice we're getting onto the university network, but we can be in different places around the world. IoT stands for Internet of Things and bringing my own device. So what am I doing? They don't, you bring your own laptops. Who knows what's on your own laptops? There's sensors, there's always issues, and they do the attacks. So this is incredible when you think about it, that I can get PowerPoints here based on what? You remember we talked about ransomware, phishing, and social engineering. Basically, phishing incidents, social engineer attackers impersonating authority figures, steal credentials, my supply chain, my vulnerabilities. So I have this available to me. And notice after I have this available in my security, you can think I can do, based on different sources, I can, for instance, do a mind map. Just a mind map. What is this mind map? It's just from our chapter in the book. Here's my information security. Here's my introduction. I have to talk about how vulnerable we can be. And guess what? I have threats from unintentional threats, meaning that it didn't have a purpose to do any harm, but unintentionally was a breakdown in the network. I have deliberate threats that people are trying to actually have bad intentions. Now I have to think about, how do I protect my information sources? I can have supply chain attacks, and then they talked about it. So this is a concise guide based on one source, which is just the PowerPoints that I put in and saved it as a PDF. And you can think about the idea of, what is the definition of security? I have a threat coming out. Where am I exposed? And where is my vulnerability? And then you have under vulnerability, look at that. Where am I vulnerable? I have an interconnected environment. Anytime you get into the university's network, I am vulnerable. Anytime I get on the internet, I am vulnerable. That's why a lot of times there may be an advantage to have your recordings saved to your local computer. I have smaller and faster devices. Guess what? All those hackers, do they really have to be so brilliant? No. There's AI that they just basically do the prompts with AI, and AI helps them hack into systems, organized crime. And guess what? Management is basically behind. And you can see here on unintentional, I have human errors. And then in human errors, I can see with human errors, guess what? Human beings basically are careless. I get questionable emails. I respond. I surf in places I shouldn't. I have weak passwords. All this carelessness. You can see human errors, unintentional. I don't pay attention where my equipment is. I may throw out some equipment that has valuable data. And social engineering are human beings that manipulate employees, or they basically try to befriend people to give up information. And guess what? Human nature is, I'm going to be cooperative. Somebody looks like they're official. Somebody calls me. They say, I'm from IT networks. Can you please help me here? We see we need some testing. And I basically tell them, yeah, that's okay. I want to be so nice. So you can see that under these three sources, you can even make an infographic that's in beta form. What I like is even flashcards. So in flashcards, I can basically go on, they're asking me questions, right? Throughout, what internal factor, key information, they'll ask me specific departments. I get this. What is social engineering? All I have to do is tap on social engineering. The definition is that it's an attack where perpetrators use social skills to trick employees into providing confidential information. And if I want more explanation, guess what? I click more, and this is just like ChatGPT. I can prompt it. I can ask it questions, on basically, where are universities vulnerable? I can do that. And I'm all in one area. Some of this you can do with ChatGPT and others, but this is incredible that it does it all under one umbrella, and it also saves it. So you can see here, universities are particularly vulnerable on large, complex attack surfaces with thousands of users connected from diverse locations. So what they really do a lot of times, why do they love universities? We're all on the same network. And guess what they do? A lot of these hackers will put software onto all of our machines and use our machines to attack other networks. And we're not even aware of it. So you can see here varying awareness. They're talking about social engineering, phishing, human errors, access privileges. You remember higher level employees with extensive access rights can pose a significant threat if their credentials are compromised. You remember US students don't have as much access. You can think about it. The president of the university may have more access than I do. Budgets, high value targets, financial data, sensitive information, and it can go on. So you can do it via why is social engineering considered particularly dangerous? It exploits human trust, psychology, difficult to defend with technical controls. Because, hey, what's the primary goal of information extortion? So you can see in this way, I can use it and you want to show it. What I suggest is this audio overview, the video overview. A lot of times the slide deck take longer amounts of time. So maybe what you want to do is do this ahead of time and then show it as a tutorial and talk about how this can be useful to you. And you can see that you can have that mind map, you can have reports. And what I like is, besides that, I can then do, in this case, I can have quizzes, give me, in this case, questions, and basically what's the primary distinction between a computer virus and a computer worm. And if I pick it, right, they'll say that's right. If not, I want more explanation. I can get more explanation here. Really nice, isn't it? I can practice with my security. A perpetrator uses social skills to trick an employee into revealing their login credentials. What type of attack is this? And I say social engineering, that's right. Exploit psychology, and then I can go next. So this is done, the same idea. And I want you to look at it is how it's useful for not only education, but how it could be useful for businesses. When you have to prepare for a meeting, you can put in your data, all your sources. You can notice here, you can do fast research. You can get things from the web. You can get videos. I want to prepare for my meeting, and you're intelligent. And then you can even take some of your podcasts. I'd like you to see how you join in and ask questions, which is incredible. And then you can take it with you. Some people learn better by audio. Some people learn better in other ways. So I can go back to my notebook. I can go to my sources. And you can see that I can take, in this case, with the audio, right, the information, the study guide, the cybersecurity quiz, information security. So if I do, in this case, my quiz, and this is my source, and notice they even give me slides here about information security. This is one that I don't join in, and they talk about
Let's
it.
talk about information security, how we understand the threats and build up our defenses. We'll explore the vulnerabilities we all face and how we can build a strong defense against them. So, there are 5 key factors that are making our digital world more vulnerable than ever before. These things create a perfect storm, It exposes our most sensitive information to new risks. The biggest threats aren't always malicious. A lot of the time, they're just accidental.
See that, unintentional. So, Raphael, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was very instructive.
And what I want is everybody to do their chapter. So what I want you to do now, even, let me share. Raphael, is when you go to your audit section, right? I want you to look at group 0. And now what I want everybody to do just right now, each group, create a folder called AI Powered Research Assistant, assignment, individual, and then put underneath this, you can edit it and put everybody's name with what chapter. So Raphael, if you're going to do this, you can even do it for your group and you decide which chapter you want. If
Yeah,
you want
yeah, I've
4 or
already done
5, TG1, TG2, don't do chapter
Yeah.
1. Don't do chapter 1 because chapter 1 is being done for you. So do that now
Got
in each
it.
group. So
Yeah.
do that now for each group. Who has their mic on? Is there somebody that has their mic on that should be cut off? So in that case, do it for each group and just choose. Those of you that are here in the class might as well take advantage of it. That you can take advantage of it and choose a chapter. The thing is, I don't want to have it be the idea that 2 people did TG1. And then that'll be this assignment for Monday. And then we'll do another assignment for the following Monday where we'll have you meet in a group. And as a group, you can discuss all the material and discuss where the pros and cons. So do that now. Anastasia, you want to give some comments on how you used what you want them to know about, maybe how you used it in the past?
Yeah, so I actually learned about Notebook LM from this class, and I use it for every single quiz and test I take now. I use it 3 times a week at least. So I would recommend this is a resource that is actually helpful. I'd recommend taking the time to actually learn how to use it. I've put my friends onto this resource, so this is really good for school. It's very user friendly. If it glitches, then I would say try troubleshooting it first because this is a very reliable source as well. So there's usually no issues that come up. But if there are, as always, reach out to me. Um, I'd say that's it for notes. I would say that this assignment is pretty easy with Notebook LM. It's pretty self-explanatory, so all should be good.
Yeah. And what part do you use for doing it for your exam? I'm just curious. Do you use the podcast? Do you use the study guide?
I usually find the most helpful with the study guide and like the briefing docs that it creates. And then I actually found that for one of my 500 level classes last year, it created a new type of document. It wasn't a study guide, it wasn't a briefing doc, but it was kind of like a historical timeline for a politics class. And that was really beneficial. So I just copy and paste those onto Google Docs for kind of have like PDF documents versions of that, and I study off of that.
Yeah, and then a lot of people I know, for instance, Issa really liked the audio part. So she just to walk around listening to the audio, even if you're driving or just taking a walk, that you can do it. And everybody has their own learning style. I think it's also really great. A number of businesses are using it too. When I talk to the business environment, they're always, when I expose it to them, they're always excited because they have so much reading. They want to keep up. And I don't want to read, 20 articles. I can get a summary, a briefing if I want to go to a meeting where I have to know the material. So this is a type of that we're always going to be learning. You understand that, Anastasia? That it's a type of thing, especially with AI coming up. There's so much information that you need to be familiar with. Why not save your time? And then you can go into more in depth, and then you can query it just like you do with any prompting, any Gen AI prompting system. You can prompt and say, give me university examples. Make it that I don't understand it. tell it to me like I'm a 12-year-old. I don't have experience. Tell it to me that I'm a novice. Make sure, even in the podcast, give me a brief one. I'm a CEO, I'm busy. I don't want a lot of the banter. Just give me the facts. Going back. You can basically steer it, and it's improving each time. And their competitors, like Microsoft, tried to do it, and they don't do it a good job. But they saw that it really took it. And the paid versions, the only difference between the paid and the free is the paid allows you to do more sources. So if you really wanted to get into a way in looking at your competitors, Sully, in the way you could do it in so many ways that I want to find out what's happening, and you don't want to do a lot of reading, you can put in those sources and they can give you, and then you could query it and give it to have it. And the same thing I like about the interactive part. I say that you can join in and ask questions verbally in a conversational mode, and you can interrupt it at any time. So what do you think, Preston?
I think it's very useful.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use
and I
that.
want to use this assignment, Preston. Let's use study for the exam. Right? And
Yeah.
each person take another chapter, and together you can even work it through, that you can use it for that group assignment, but you have already the feeling, and it really doesn't take much to add. And then when those added readings I give you, add those, or even do that, check off. And I just want an overview of that cyber security for universities. Give me it. I can choose one, or I can choose a combination of different sources together. So it's incredible. Okay, any other comments, questions that I need to address? So hopefully you know now, follow the format of what Anastasia does. Some of it takes a long time to produce. So you may even want, Anastasia, what I'm saying is have them produce it already, and then they can do a fluid recording.
I will say there's also an
Yeah.
option in Zoom to pause the recording. You don't have to stop it completely. So,
Right.
yeah, they can either create the video and audio section ahead of time, or if you want to really show how to do it on the video as a tutorial, then just click pause instead of the
Right, and
stop
then you can make a
recording.
comment on how
Yeah,
long it took, but
yeah.
sometimes I like to do it ahead of time, so you can get, before you start recording, get a feel for what's happening there, rather than you being blind. I'm not sure what I'm going to get here. So you can do it. And another thing you can do, Anastasia, you could do it twice. You do a mind map one time, and then you'll do a show a mind map again. So it doesn't matter whether you do it once or twice or 3 times. Okay, I just find that this is just incredible. Why not use it? The AI. And this one, people were asking me, can we use AI to study? This is an example. I encourage you. Why not? Why not, Nicholas, that you can use it? Why should I say don't use it? Help yourself. You know what I mean? And that you can then teach others how to use it. And that's where it works. Okay. So anything else I need to cover? I'm good with that? Okay. So we'll meet next week. We'll try to give the study guide next week already. We'll do that Monday before. Maybe we'll do an intensive review, on what it's like. So everybody will be prepared. If you study, you shouldn't have problems. If you don't study, that's something else. Okay. Thanks a lot. Anastasia, you want to do the roll, attendance?
Yeah, I'll do attendance now.
And Preston and Sully, is there something I need to address in terms of the chat?
No, there's nothing in the chat.
Okay, perfect. So I think this was valuable of this going. And thanks to Preston and Sully for helping me on that end. And then put it in the chat, and you can stop sharing then, 7293. And I'll stay anybody has additional questions, I'll make sure that I stop the YouTube and anybody asks me.